Hello, my fellow weirdos. So I'm wandering around YouTube here, and I'm seeing some bunch of videos that are like on the videos here. They're showing uh, TikTok videos. So I always kind of be like, "What's this about?" Because I don't even have TikTok. I mean, I used to, but I never used it. I don't even remember if I have an account anymore. So, I just never go there. It's just too much. I get way too. um, but they kept talking about China and, spilling the beans. So I'm like, what's this about? So I'm watching one. It's one of the longer ones because I figured, well, I'll be able to suss out what this is. I guess you probably have been hearing about, girl, there, China be, China be spilling the beans about luxury brands. Girl, oh, it's stuff that I was pretty sure I've read over the decades article here or there about, I'll get to it, about them not being much different or something, and or they're all made it just like these other common brand names, except for like this step or something like that. So I was kind of like, yeah, I believe it. Something that sells for $10, they would sell for 3,000, just because it has the name on it. Because I would see stuff, I'm like, but I saw knockoffs, and we're always told, don't buy the knockoffs. You should buy American, and or a better quality lasts. We hear that a lot. Buy higher quality because it lasts longer. And I've had stuff that was good brand name, been given as gifts on different items, and they really don't last longer. Most of them, they have normal wear, So I guess what a bunch of creators are spilling is that Gucci, Versace, they all are made in China. Or as Donald says, that China. In China. I mean, really, the majority of our stuff is actually says made in China. And I remember growing up, it was that way. And the thing is, what was so terrible, because both of us were like superpowers, both of us were very powerful countries. So what the fuck? It's like the planet's big enough, guys. And I get supporting America first, but at the same time, you're kind of supporting America when you're supporting China as well, because that interworking was actually working. Maybe it might have needed some fine tuning over time, here and there, but you don't do that by blowing it to fucking kingdom come. But yeah, they're showing clips. It's not just like one or two. There's a lot of them just saying it's the same stuff, except they use this button on the finishing instead of these, and it's like not that big of a difference. They might have their initial, the G stamped on it. It's the same button that isn't. Yeah. Yep. And apparently the reason they say don't buy the knockoffs is because they know they're just like the other ones, and a lot of them they pass. People are always being fooled. They're saying and being outed for, oh, it's not really. I gotta look. It's not really. It doesn't have that label, or that's exactly why I don't go on TikTok to find the good stuff, the honest stuff. You gotta weed through so much trauma, like high school stuff. But yeah, so ooh, interesting, eh? Yep. It's the same thing when stores start having store brands, or like the basic, or they called them generic brands. When that whole generic brand thing started, and the very first generic brand things were just like a white, everything was a white package with a black print. It just basically said what it was. White bread, bologna, none of this fancy names or any of the motherfucking whatever. Just, yellow mustard, brown mustard. I mean, stone ground mustard. That's, they didn't have all this other ridiculousness. And we learned decades and decades ago that that's true of like foods or like toilet papers and things like that. Some of those generic brands, or at the Dollar Tree or something, sometimes they're the same items that are the more expensive brand name items in the freaking supermarket, in the grocery store. It's the same one as a higher brand name item uses, and they acknowledge that they're made in the same factory. It's the same things. It's just at the end the labeling. They're sent. And that came out with foods and stuff, because you can taste stuff. Because like there was a time where I only liked Heinz ketchup, and now I know it's because it's sweeter than like Hunt's or something, and there's more sugar in it, which is what makes it addictive to put it on. God, I used it on everything when I was, oh my God. But I haven't used it like that for decades. But, I mean, literally, like 4 decades. But, yeah, a lot of that stuff is made it's the same item. It's just some go here and some go here for labeling. It's crazy. But yeah, we found that out many decades ago with the food, when the generic brands came out. Maybe several years afterwards. It's like, oh, so they are. They're just not the brand name, so you can't get the price for it. So that's why I never, even growing up, when it's in high school and junior high or middle school, where it's very clicky and that kind of shit was very important. The surface stuff. It didn't really bother me that I didn't get brand name stuff, because a lot of times you couldn't tell it was a brand name unless you saw a label. And I always thought that was, even as a youngster, I thought that was completely stupid, inane, that you'd pay like 4, 5, 6 times the price that you could pay back with, I was at Walmart. They weren't as greedy as they are now, and same with Target. But yeah, you could go someplace like that and really get things when there were no dollar stores. That was the place to shoulder itches. That basically was the place, to get, I don't want to say cheaper, because that makes it sound like they're cheaper made. The less expensive product. But I for the majority of stuff, I really could not tell the difference. Like I said, food was a little different. Sometimes you can totally tell the difference between mustards, but You have no all tartar sauces taste alike, or mayonnaise, you know. And then I know, like, my brother-in-law, he will only use a certain brand of mayonnaise, and he can tell. He'll ask, do you use homemade? You know, just because he can tell. I'm the same way with ketchups and some things like that. But that's really the only difference. The quality, it's the same stuff. Same thing with material, clothes and stuff. It's the same material. I mean, hello. Um, and growing, it wasn't until the last few decades that we were like, China's a bad, you know, oh, from China figures. Well, part of where America got where she was before the last election was because we partnered carefully with other countries. Because, oh my God, the Republicans love the uneducated. For real, because they can tell you all these lies. Same reasons, bullshit that they give for like gerrymandering maps or something. And they try to make up these ridiculous reasons. It's like, well, if I didn't have an education that encouraged critical thinking skills, I might believe that. And that's a lot of it. It's the critical thinking skills. So that's what triggers you to say, that doesn't sound correct. I should probably look to see if what he said just is true, because that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound correct. When you do that, that's critical thinking skills. That means you don't just unquestionably, like Christian Bible, like Christianity teaches, to just unquestioningly believe what you read in our publications. Just trust us, because it was told to us by God, and in the Bible, and we're just explaining that, so it's just like we're telling you, just like God would be telling you. And they rely on that, and people call Democrats and progressives groomers and brain. Yeah, it's like, excuse me, they do that from the start, and that's one of the things they've been doing for a long time. China bad? No, nothing is bad per se, except, well, Russia and North Korea, which seems to be who our new three friends are. Wow. Why'd you tariff penguins and not Russia or North Korea? I'm so curious, because I've heard some of the excuses, because somebody did ask that, and it didn't hold water. But they like you to be uneducated, because they already have the Bible that they're shoving at you. The Bible, Christianity. Christianity brainwashes you. And they say, just when you say, well, where's the proof? They show you in the Bible. I'm like, no, I said the proof that it was the word of an unseen being, and just translate it into human speak. And the only proof is the Bible. You can't use the thing you're asking to prove that the Bible is really the Word of God told to people, and it's exactly what He said. And they show you something in the Bible that says that. I'm like, you can't use the Bible to back up a question about the Bible's originality. If you're questioning the Bible, why would you show me a Bible verse? You see what I'm saying? That's critical thinking. When you have a good education, they teach you that. They kind of religion rhetoric you, un-Christianity you. Because it seems mostly, more than anything, it's the people that believe in Christianity and Christ in general, in its different forms, that seem to be very intent on, yeah, but even if you're not my religion, you still should believe that stuff because it's true. That's not critical, like, thinking. But that's the point. If you guys who voted for Republicans had critical thinking, it would have stopped you from voting a third time for a disaster. You get all butthurt about when you're told you don't have any critical thinking skills. You get all butthurt and then display that you have no critical thinking skills by doing or saying something completely stupid. So there it is. What is it, Mr. Raspy? China, that's pretty funny. They're totally selling out. They're totally exposing the luxury brands as, guys, all those expensive luxury brands, those fashion houses and shit. It's the same stuff as the knockoffs, which is why it's so hard to nail the knockoffs sometimes. That's why, because it's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. It basically comes down to, is a label genuine or not? For real? So, I mean, if they make the stuff there, where's the labels put in, right? They can do that too. They can switch that too, for God's sake. So yeah, it's pretty funny. And all the people that get, you know, in trouble for selling a knockoff or something, those fashion houses and stuff should be ashamed of themselves. The ones that, you know, pull that crap. It's just disgusting. But at the same time, if you want to have no critical thinking skills and have enough money to spend doing that, then what's that old saying? A fool and his money are soon parted. Peace out.